You are saying that it's possible that the user used the card without the 90-degree Cablemod adapter, and that may be what caused the connector to melt. My head is spinning. My head is spinning.
So I would be straight up lying to you guys right now if I didn't say that I wasn't concerned about the RTX 4090 burning connector situation. So first of all, I don't want to say this is a Cablemod situation, I doubt it, but I did actually have a bad cable from Cablemod. I'll show you this quick video I privated. I made this a couple months ago. They requested me to cut it up, and this cable specifically, when it was plugged into the RTX 4080, it would kind of wiggle back and forth, disconnect, and basically cause the PC that was being used with it to stop working or short really quick. And there was a ton of videos recently posted on PC Master Race and the Cable Modders DIY group, and I'm going to show you a few of those posts in a minute. But before I do that, I'm actually going to swap my RTX 4090 out with this classified 1080. My friend actually grabbed this for $100. This is his. I was just going to test it, so I'll use this as a way to test it. And I just want to say that my RTX 4090 came from a local vendor. I don't have a receipt for it. It's pretty terrifying that it's happening, and I know if it does happen to me, I'll end up having to pay out of pocket to fix it because Nvidia does not give a shit. If you have no receipt, they won't take your thing back, and that's a big thing with companies nowadays. If you have no proof of purchase, you're kind of SOL. So just keep that in mind if you guys buy any cards online. I'm literally actually worried about my own card now, and it sucks using this computer every single day, just kind of wondering if I'm going to smell plastic burning at some point. But yeah, so let's swap those out right now and check my 4090. So I just realized I could probably have showed you this on OBS, but this is Guru 3D, and you can download Display Driver Uninstaller from here. This is a app, and if you haven't seen this app before, all it does is essentially wipe your drivers out. And this is a really important tool. Nvidia also suggests you use this tool, so just keep that in mind if you're going to install a new card. So what I'm going to do right here is just do clean and shut down for installing a new graphics card. First, I'm going to shut off the power. And there's a few things about these cables from Cablemod. First of all, if you look closely here, you can see there's a little bit of fraying, and this is probably really challenging for the person who has to make this to put together. It's extremely tight in the tolerance. They usually put a cover over this, but with this card in particular, the cover actually hits this back plate here. So I had to take it off. So let's just see how easy this comes out. This has been in here for a little bit, and this one is much better than the blue cable like those that I originally had. Yeah, so that was much better. And it looks like we're pretty much good. Now, just looking at the cable closely, I've noticed online a lot of people say that there's a lot of breaking plastic or chipping going on. I don't see that with this cable so far. The clip also tends to break off pretty easy. But if you can see, if you look closely at the actual material, it's like barely holding on in there. I just want to show you guys these cables real quick to give you an idea of how I'm thinking about this. So first of all, we have two unused brand new cables that came with the Nvidia 4080 and 4090. The one on the right, the 4080, if you look at the bottom left part of the connector, there's the silver plating that touches the actual GPU, and the pin that slides in there touches that perfect square. Whereas on the left over here, it kind of looks a little bit busted up, even though this has never been used. This is a brand new cable. The person who owns this card went with Cablemod right out of the gate. So the tolerance issue on that 4090 connector seems to be kind of a problem. I'm not saying that there's a difference between the connectors versus what card it is, but what I'm saying is that if there's more power draw coming through that 4090 and that busted looking bottom left connector on the 4090 over there is not touching correctly, there could be some kind of problem. Just real quick, I want to show you guys the size difference between the actual connector. This is a massive difference. So tolerances have to be perfect, and if they're cheaping out on any of these cables, that could be a problem. So I swapped my cards out and everything seems to be okay, but that still doesn't mean really much because I'm not using my card to its fullest all the time. I'm still concerned. I want to show you guys the Northridge repair video, the Jay's 2 cents kind of talking points about it, and then the original Gamers Nexus, what he said about this whole situation.
So we emailed Northridge Fix to ask for photos of the connectors, and we also emailed Cablemod, which makes the adapter that's shown in this particular video. Now, in this process, we immediately learned from Cablemod that it was the customer for the card that was shown in the video, and also a lot of other cards that were recently sent to Northridge. The email with Northridge, it seemed to indicate that Northridge was unaware that Cablemod was the customer. They were trying to confirm that at the time.
I do not see how it's relevant if I knew the card is from Cablemod or not from Cablemod. What difference would it make? We had a sudden influx of 4090s, that's true. But a lot of the 4090s that we fixed do not belong to Cablemod. So it doesn't really matter if I'm working on a card. I do not read the name. Let me see. Where is this one coming from? Joe. Is Joe from Cablemod? I don't know. I do not read names when fixing video cards, and I think it's irrelevant if I knew who that card belongs to or who it does not belong to.
And Cablemod produced evidence that it had sent 8 GPUs to Northridge for repair in the last 3 weeks. It noted to us that the very card that appeared in the video was a card that Cablemod had sent in for repair, and this again explains why Northridge assumed the sudden influx was from a big round of failures. Northridge in the video stated, "Don't tell me about the customer plugging the cable all the way, because the customer has a Cablemod 90-degree adapter plugged in all the way, and the connector still melted." Now there is a little more here where it's possible the customer used the product without that adapter for a while, and maybe that wasn't plugged in all the way.
I'm sorry, Steve, I'm going to have to stop you. You are saying that it's possible that the user used card without the 90-degree Cablemod adapter, and that may be what caused the connector to melt. How does that make sense? Unless we are in outer space and they have different rules. The user plugged in the cable directly to the connector, causing that connector to melt. And after that connector melted, the customer forced that 90-degree Cablemod adapter onto the connector. And now we're going to blame the problem on a user error. My head is spinning. My head is spinning.
So essentially, Steve is saying that somebody took a 12-volt high-power cable, connected it to their 4090, it melted in there, then they took it out, bought a Cablemod right-angle adapter, or whatever adapter they bought, put it in there, and then that also melted, and that's why Northridge is kind of acting a little bit wild about this. Let's check out what Jay has to say about this.
The 4090 melting connectors, the fact that a few have melted now with Cablemod adapters on there, where we stand with that, what has been actually said, what is being done, kind of going into this a little bit farther. So I watched his video. And for those of you that don't know, Northridge Fix and Cablemod are partners. Okay? So I'm going to put that out first and foremost. Second of all, if you haven't watched it, what his take is, this is not a connector problem. This is not an end user problem. I mean, before you all get irate, but Steve, hold on. This is not a cable problem. So it's not a connector problem. It's not a adapter problem. It's not a cable problem. It's not a power supply problem. It is an Nvidia problem because it is the 4090 consistently that is melting the same pins in the same way. Even connectors that have been verified to be plugged in fully seated. So his take is that, look, if you create a product that can fail, it is still on the designer and the manufacturer to warranty, stand behind, and protect the consumer from that product. So even if the connector could be put in crooked or wiggled, which is an end user applied problem, but if the problem existed because of manufacturing tolerances or whatever, that's still an Nvidia problem.
So this is Steve's original video from Gamers Nexus, and the main topic of discussion here is mostly that it's user error. I do agree that it can be user error, but there is a huge amount of fault that falls on the design of the cable in itself. And he's showing how easily it can slip out. Say you plug in your card, you're using something like an O11 dynamic, which, by the way, this card will barely fit in there with that cable. You'll have to really bend it. So once you start to cable manage and you start to move everything around, maybe, yes, it slides out a little bit, and then all of a sudden you're one of the people who have a burning connector. And so let's watch a little bit of what he has to say.
Just go back through one last time before you close the panel, push on it, and you should be got. I mean, if you do all that stuff, there's really just basically no shot, as the kids say, that you've left it unseated. So that's it for the updates and for the statement from Nvidia. They posted that on their forums today. You can go check out the forum post if you want to learn more about it. It's on their GeForce forum. But I mean, I think that pretty much covers it. At this point, we're not going to be revisiting this topic unless there's major news or if Nvidia has more to say, because I think we've tested it about as much as we can. We are going to do some testing on third-party 12-volt high-power cables. It's not for the reasons that were just covered in all of this, but instead, it's just to see if the ones that are using, say, poor gauge wire.
So just like I said in the beginning of the video, there were a lot of posts on Facebook and Reddit. Here was one in particular that was kind of concerning. This guy builds computers for sure. You can tell he's done a few in the past, and this is a complete custom loop, so it's not like he's incapable of plugging in a connector. Just touched it. That's it.
Didn't even use any force.
Sick bends. So here's a pretty recent example that showed up on Facebook's Cable Modders group. This is a owner of a 4090 using a right angle cable mod adapter. Again, I don't think it's Cablemod. I think it's the 4090 itself. But what's funny is he's now claiming that ASUS is trying to deny the warranty on this whole thing because of the adapter. So surprising after all the ASUS commentary recently. But yeah, this just keeps popping up every now and then, and it's starting to be very concerning. So what do you guys think? Is it a 4090 issue? Is it a cable issue? Is it a user error? Let me know down in the comments. I'm very curious. I'm pretty worried, you know, you spend $1,600 on a video card and you have to sit there wondering every day if it's gonna burn up. That sucks. It's a sucky situation. I feel like it's Nvidia. Honestly, like, how are you going to put that much power through such a small cable? I don't know. It just doesn't seem correct to me. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please drop a like, leave a comment, and if you want to sub, you can sub. That's going to do it for this one. Give me your thoughts and comments down below. Peace.